Why isn't your healing as easy as it should be? Hey guys, it's your girl B here with another podcast. And today I want to talk to you about your healing. And there's a lot of, if you've done your research with the spiritual connotations or you've gone to healers, like they all talk about like this giving up and this releasing. And the thing is sometimes it's not that easy. And here's the thing. These aspects of yourself, it's like a story. Like it just wants to be heard. It just wants to be told. And it needs to be honored. So if you are a person who does full moon ceremonies or rituals, or you're a person that likes to write things up, or you're a person that just likes to like shed and release things, I hear you. I got you. I know where you're coming from. And you will find, I think, that with some emotions, it's not simply just as easy to like write it out and release it and give it up. And the reason being is because those hurts, those emotions come from a much deeper connotation. And sometimes they come from an ancestral connotation or a past life connotation. And they just want to be heard. Our pain, our trauma, our emotion that's trapped within ourselves, within our bodies, just wants to be heard. I want you to look at it as if it was like a child. A child is sad and it's upset and it cries because it wants something, it needs something. And in order to get the child to stop crying, you have to turn and you have to look at it and you have to address it and, pick her or him up and coddle, nurture, feed it, change it, like whatever. You have to acknowledge and honor the child, or the child will continue to scream. And that's what I think I love so much about Huna and the Hawaiian shamanism, is honoring the child, honoring the emotion, honoring the fear, honoring the wound and what it has to say, because our wounds happen for a reason. And it's not as simple as like you getting angry and you flipping someone off. That anger passes in a healthy state. It's the story behind it. It's why it's happened. It's the lesson. It's the charge that keeps it active and, unable to fluidly pass through our body and our beings. And when you begin to honor the story or the emotion and why it came to be, you are then able to actually understand the lesson in it, or the why. So this one time I was working through some stuff with increasing my prices and my worth, essentially. And I'd done a lot of mindset work around this stuff to begin with, but I was still getting tripped up, and I knew I was getting tripped up because of my ninja strength awareness. And so I went to my really good friend and I was talking to her about this, and she's the theta healer, so she felt it into it for me. And she's like, listen, this comes from like a past life nature, where in this past life you were a shaman, and she told me kind of the story behind it. And her understanding was like, I needed to make amends with that shaman and hear his story. It wasn't just enough to be like, oh, okay, like I get it. In the past life I was a shaman and I gave my services away for free, and that's why it's conflicting with me wanting to charge for my services in this life and understand my true worth. It was the fact that like that shaman, that soul aspect of myself, that soul self of me, wanted to be seen and heard and understood, because he didn't get a chance to live out his full life, and he had given so much to his tribe and his community and his entire life for the greater good, and he wanted to be heard. So then when I sat and I heard out, what he had to say to me, I was able to make amends with that and truly like honor that aspect within myself and the greater good. And this is what I see that happens when we want to release something and like have it just be done, just be gone from us. There's almost like this resentment that comes into us that we're still holding on to this. Like, I just want this person to be gone. I just want this thing to be gone from my life. But it's not. And the reason being is because you attracted that from a greater reason or a greater purpose. You cultivated that in your life for a greater understanding of who you are, or a past life, or an ancestral karma, or whatever. And you need to honor the story behind it, like why you chose that relationship or situation or whatever it was, and how it's helped you grow. And when you honor it, I feel like in a way you're then able to release it without the resentment component, because you fully understand your actions in it and why you chose that. And then you don't have that resistance or frustration or resentment towards that situation in your life. And then you can finally take the steps to releasing it or healing it. But it's only when you fully honor and acknowledge your part or the totality of the story or the lesson that you're able to fully release the situation and let it not hold a charge in your life. The only other time it would hold a charge in your life is if it was on some sort of deeper layer of healing. And I feel like that's a pretty profound thing, because I think we don't necessarily take the time to understand some of the lessons that we have in things, or the why. We, as humans, don't like to be uncomfortable. And like, why would you? Why do you want to like dredge up your sadness and everything else? Why do you want to be uncomfortable? We don't. We don't like to hurt. We don't like to be sad. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like to be in pain. There's so many things that we don't like to be in. But everything needs to come up and out for it to be fully healed. And we need to let the emotions out. We need to get uncomfortable. We can't always be comfortable. We need to get uncomfortable. We need to understand the bigger picture. We need to look at the lessons. We need to honor those aspects of ourselves that chose that for whatever greater reason or greater purpose, or just honor the suffering that we felt in those moments in order to fully process the situation, in order to release it so we can finally move on in our lives, which I think is a pretty profound thing. And when you have mastered that art, it's not going to take you weeks, months, years to work through and process trauma. It's going to be fast. It might be uncomfortable. It might ask you to question aspects or come to understand aspects within yourself that maybe you didn't want to know about, but you'll be able to process trauma and karma so with fluidity and ease and this cathartic release, and it will release from your body, which I think is the profound aspect of it. So that's my TED Talk for today. I hope you guys liked this little podcast. I think it is honestly, like, I've done a lot of healing in my time, and that's one of the patterns that I've come to understand is you can give up and you can give up and you can shed and you can release, but it is not until you understand the lesson or the trauma or why you were put in that position or these aspects within yourself that it fully is able to release from your system. It may come again back around on a different level as you do more growth, but it's not going to be super challenging for you to be able to release. It's the knowledge and the understanding that helps you move through things faster. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Much love. If you have any comments, questions, please let me know. If you want to hear more about certain topics, I would love to hear from you. Much love. Bye for now.